I'm going to show you a full breakdown on how to create an Islamic web app using ChatGPT. Today, we're going to create a prayer times website for us, Muslims. And I'm going to do everything live so that you can see the entire process. So we're going to do everything in 4 simple steps. First, we're going to install the required softwares. Second, we're going to start working with ChatGPT and ask it to create us a basic look of our website. And then third, we're going to take this basic website and then make it alive with actual data. And then 4, when we actually finish the website, we're going to take it and publish it so that any Muslim will be able to go on your website and benefit from it, inshallah. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Mansoor and I've been a software engineer and building apps for more than 10 years now. I've worked at multiple companies that made millions in revenue. I also have another coding channel with more than 200,000 subscribers. Now, I want to help you, my fellow brothers and sisters in Islam, to use this new technology, AI, to build and create for this ummah. Because I truly believe that AI is a game changer, especially for us Muslims. If we learn to use this technology well, it can help us in this world and in the next one, inshallah. Alright, bismillah, let's start. Alright, so this is what we're going to be creating today, inshallah, our Muslim prayer times web app. This is a very simple UI over here, but gets straight to the point. So you search for your city first. Let's try New York, for example, in the United States. And then you select New York, and then you can also change your date, but we're going to keep it as this. If you click it, then you get a drop down for the date selection. And also your calculation method for knowing the prayer times, because each calculation is a bit different. So if we just stick to the default that we have over here at the Islamic Society of North America, if we click get prayer times, then we actually get the prayer times for our city. So this is a real data. If you can actually go and check it, if we write New York prayer times, and if we go into Islamic Finder, then we see Fajr is 5:24, 5:24, Dhuhr at 12:51 p.m., 12:50 p.m. over here. Just a slight difference, but that's not a big deal. It's calculation method over here, and we have the same calculation method, Isha at 8:16, and we see Isha at 8:17. So working perfectly. Our web app is working really nicely. So this is what we're going to be creating today. So before we have this final version, we're going to start all from scratch. We're going to first go and install some of the required softwares, and we're going to do that by creating a Next.js application. So Next.js is just a framework to easily help us create websites. So if you go into Google and just write Next.js install and then click the getting started link, then we have our command over here that will have to run in the terminal. So whether you're on Mac or Windows, these commands are the same thing. In our case, we're going to go with the npm, the Node package manager. So before running this command, you actually need Node.js installed. So if you never installed Node.js and if you don't have it on your machine, that's okay. You just click this link over here and click get Node.js. So you could either run all of these commands over here on the terminal, or you could just download the installer and go through the installer super quick, and then you would have Node.js installed. So now after you have Node.js installed, it's as simple as copy pasting this command over here. So if I copy paste it, I go on my command line. Let's try another command line. Let's quit this one actually, and then let me zoom in over here so that you guys can see. So this is my home folder. This is my home folder where I have, my desktop, my documents, downloads, and what I do for my applications or my websites or everything that I code, I put them all under developer, under a developer folder. So if you don't have a developer folder, then just do mkdir developer inside your home folder, but I have one, so I'm not going to do it. And then after you created that folder, you want to cd into it. So cd, it basically says go inside that folder. So if you do cd developer, and as you're writing, you could do developer, and then you could click tab, that just auto completes. And then after you're inside your developer folder, you can can run this command. So let's just make sure that we copy it and then go back inside our terminal and then paste it in. So essentially over here, npx is just saying that you're going to run a Node.js command. Create next app is the command for creating Next.js application, and latest is the actual latest version of that command. And my app over here, this is the part that we want to change. So my app, this is the name of your app. So in our case, we can change it to what we're building, prayer times app. And then the yes over here is just saying accept all the default configuration. So if we do this command, like I have it right over here, that's going to create us a brand new Next.js application so that we can start working on it. If we send with the return or enter key on your keyboard, then this creates us our Next.js application. And it should be complete now. Okay, cool. So it's saying that that the command just created the prayer times app that can be found in user/Mansoor/developer/prayer times app. So essentially just a folder under the one that we have right now. So it's inside developer. So we could do again cd inside prayer times app. So now we're inside the prayer times app. If we do ls, we can see all of the documents and all the files it created for us for our starting Next.js application. So just to see that this works, we could do npm run dev. So by doing npm run dev, you will see that it's gonna run our local server so that we can actually see our website. So it's saying that this website can be found at localhost 3000 or the local IP of the computer that you're using. So we're gonna copy this localhost 3000 and open it over here. And then if we press enter, then we're going to see this default looking page when you create a brand new Next.js application. So this is all good so far. This is what we're supposed to see. So now what we want to do is go inside ChatGPT and start working with AI. So over here, we don't want to overcomplicate what we want to do at first. Really want to go simple, step by step with the AI, guide it along the way so it knows exactly what we're trying to do. And we were not just bombarding it with so many tasks that it starts messing up and not do the right things. So we're going to tell it exactly where we are. Hey, I just created a brand new Next.js application with the default command. I want to create a prayer times website for Muslims. So this is what we want to do. And now let's tell it to give us a very basic look of the website. So we're kind of preparing the AI for what's coming. So let's tell it, give me a basic look of the website without real data. Just pretend that we have data, hard code the data for now. So let's just go over the prompt. So hey, I just created a brand new Next.js application with the default command. So exactly what we've just done. I want to create a prayer times website for Muslims. Give me a basic look of the website without real data. Just pretend that we have data. So hard code the data. So I'm saying hard code the data and essentially just fake the data for now because we just want to see the basic look of the website. If I press enter, now ChatGPT will start outputting some code. So what it's saying is actually perfect. You're using Next.js. Here's a minimal code for your page.tsx for your project. Cool. So how do we actually go and edit this code? Because we created our Next.js application, but we can't really edit the code. So to do that, you can either download Visual Studio Code. Actually, let me do this in incognito. So because some of the websites I'm logged in, so the pages might look different for me. So you can either download Visual Studio Code and just click download over here, or what I like is Cursor. A lot of times I use Cursor to use its AI features to code. So just use Cursor if you ever need to either manually edit code or use the AI features. So I recommend using Cursor. So you could click this download for macOS or whatever OS you're on. So after you downloaded and installed it, then you click on Cursor and then click on Open Project. and then find where you saved your web app. So in my case, it's under developer and is the prayer times app. So if I click open, then this opens it in my current view. So if I expand it over here, we could see that we have a bunch of folders in this project. You don't really need to look at them individually, but just to go over them really quickly, you know, we have the default .next folder over here, that a lot of the default things that are pre-configured for us are over here. You don't really need anything. The node modules folder over here, a lot of the external functions or external libraries are installed over here. They are all pre-installed for us and this is something that we don't need to touch. And then what's important for us is the app folder, which we can see we have the page.tsx. And if we go back inside ChatGPT, we see that it outputted the code for our page.tsx. So great. If we inspect page.tsx, we can see that this is the default page that we've seen when we ran our local server. So we don't want this code anymore. We want to change it. So the code that we have on ChatGPT, go inside, copy the code, and then go back inside cursor. You can do Control or Command A, and then Control or Command V, depending on which operating system you are. And then you have your new code. But the important thing is to make sure that you always save it. So you could either go over here and click save, or you could do Command S or Control S, depending on your system. On Mac, it's Command. So I'm going to say Command from now on. So Command S, and this saves your web page, your file over here. And if I hadn't done that, for example, if I hadn't done that and I just pasted the code without saving, you see that over here we have this kind of white circle over here. It's essentially saying that there were some changes in this file and it has not been saved. And now if we go back inside of our browser, and we can see the changes over here, but if we just make sure and refresh, then we see the changes that the code that ChatGPT gave us, we can see it live over here. So really cool. We see prayer times, we see location Montreal. I guess it just hard coded something. This is where I'm recording this video live right now from Montreal. So it just hard codes some fake data. Yeah, I don't think these data are real at all. And it's saying this is placeholder data powered by Next.js. Okay, cool. So we have our very basic look of our website. This is what we wanted. And then with this, we can actually start working with ChatGPT to expand our application and make it better. And eventually we'll come to actually adding real data into it. But for now, let's ask it something else. Let's also ask it, hey, can you add the UI to add a city to the website so that I can search the prayer times by city. Let's send this. And then over here, it's still working. From the code that I can see, it's still pretending with fake data, but that's okay. That's basically what we asked it. So if we copy this code and then go back in our code editor, which for me, it's cursor, I do Command A and then Command V. And again, I do not forget to save it, Command S. Then over here, we see that it compiled again. Now, if we go back inside our browser, we should see the changes live. Cool. So we see something. So we see an input field. It's a bit hard to see, but there is an input box over here. So if we try Toronto, for example, I know that Toronto, it had some hard-coded data. Let's try it, Toronto, Canada. Actually, let's try to copy this. This is just fake data, so you don't really have to worry about this. But if I search it, okay, I can see that the data actually changed. Even though it's fake data, we can see that things are working. Okay, cool. So from here, let's ask ChatGPT to actually give us real data now. So we know that we have a basic website that is just showing fake data. It's just mock data just to see that the website is running. But now we actually want real data, real prayer times. So if someone would just go over here and write their city, for example, then they would be able to see the prayer times for their city, because Fajr would be, I'm sure, very different for someone in New York, for example, compared to someone in, I don't know, in in Mumbai, for example, right? Or in Paris, for example. So let's ask ChatGPT to give us real information. So where do we actually get the real information? Is there like a website? Is there like a library? Or is there something that we can use for that? The answer is yes. There are some fellow brothers or sisters, I'm not really sure who built this, but they built this website, which is a prayer times API, where anyone could call it to get the prayer times for a specific location. The people who create them are the Islamic network. May Allah be pleased with you and reward you for your efforts. And now we're going to use this API over here. So this API, as you can see, it has a lot of documentation. So this API over here has a lot of documentation on how to use it, what to call, essentially how to use the service to call this API. And before AI, we developers actually had to go on in the API documentations and read every single one of these things to make sure that we're calling the API properly. But now with AI, we can automate this. We can just copy this link, and I'll have this link in the description of the video. We can just say, okay, cool. So we go inside ChatGPT and say, hey, cool. Now I want to show real data. Here is an API that works. I want you to read the documentation and provide me the actual code that works for my website to get that information. As simple as that. So if we go over the prompt over here, so hey, cool. Now I want to show the real data. Here's the API that works. So this is the link that we provided. I want you to read the documentation and provide me the actual code that works for my website to get that information, to get the real prayer times. Okay, let's send this, and hopefully, inshallah, ChatGPT will look into the website. Okay, it looked at the website. So it's saying, I'll give you the relevant API endpoint you use, the updated code for your page, and some error handling. Great. So it gave us the updated React.js code. So if we copy this code and then go back inside of our code editor, and then again, Command A to select everything, and then let's delete it, Command V to paste in the new code, Command S to save everything. We make sure that our site recompiled. Yes. Now we come back to our website. We can see that we have two input fields, Montreal for the city and Canada for the country. So if I do search over here, I have Dhuhr at 12:48. So let's actually double check the prayer times. So let's write prayer times Montreal. Let's go into Islamic Finder. We see Fajr at 5:14. We see Dhuhr at 12:49 over there, 12:48 over here, and we see Asr at 4:16. Isha and Maghrib. Okay, everything looks great. I think there might be a slight difference because we don't have the prayer calculation methods, which will add also. But before that, this is really hard to see. I can't really even see the text over here. I'm sure for you guys it's a lot worse. But let's also test another city so that we see that things are working. So if we search Toronto, which is another city in Canada, and if we do search, and then we get some different timings. But now the question is that really the prayer times for Toronto? Toronto prayer time. Okay, now let's go into Islamic Finder. Let's do another check. So 5:41 for Fajr, 13:11, which is 1:11, 1:13 Dhuhr. Okay, that's pretty close. Asr at 4:40 over here, 4:41, and then 7:22. 7:24, and Isha at 8:41 and 8:44 on Islamic Finder. Okay, so we see that our website is in a pretty good state. We are actually getting real data from our provider, from the people that create this beautiful API over here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. But we're not done. If we want a really nice, robust app, let's also do another thing. Let's ask it to add the calculation methods to find the prayer times, because as you can see, Islamic Finder has this calculation method, and depending on what you select, so if you select Muslim World League, for example, you see Fajr is 441, Dhuhr 113, Asr 441, and if we save that, let me just move myself. If we save that, then you will see Fajr changed, Dhuhr I think also changed. So this is something that might be important for a lot of Muslims around the world, because not everyone follows the same calculation method. So let me come back to the default calculation method and move myself back. Now we want to ask the AI to give us the calculation method. And again, the same problem comes. Where do we find the information for calculation methods? Do we have to input them manually? And what happens with this information? Do we send that to the API? What happens exactly? But the answer to that is that this API also provides the prayer time methods. So everything is in one place. All we have to do is to ask ChatGPT, hey, cool, everything works, but I want you to add the calculation methods as a selection drop down on my website, because I want to be able to see the various prayer times depending on the calculation method. This selection will be sent to the prayer times API. To get the calculation methods, you can also find them in the same website to where I sent, you can find the same website where I told you for the prayer times. So read the documentation and provide the actual code for what I need. So let's go over the prompt again. Hey, cool, everything works, but I want you to add the calculation methods as a selection drop down on my website. So on website where you could click and then you have a bunch of selections and you click the one that you want. This selection will be sent to the prayer times API. So it's essentially what I'm saying. So after you select it, this information will be sent to the API so that I will be able to see different prayer times, the slight differences in minutes and depending on the school of thought, then I will be able to see the different prayer times. So at the end, I'm saying to get that information, the calculation methods, you can also find them on the same website that I told you. So essentially the prayer times website API, where I told you the prayer times. So and at the end, I'm saying go read the doc and provide the actual code for what I need. So let's send this and see what happens. Okay, so it's searching again on that website. It's saying, cool, I found the calculation methods and the Al-Adhan docs. Great. So looks like ChatGPT did not have any problems finding that documentation, and now it's providing me the right code to get the methods and also take that method and then send it to the prayer times API. So if I click copy code and then go back into my code editor, Command A, delete everything, Command V, and then save it. Now let's see, hopefully we get the calculation method. If I refresh it, great. So I get the calculation method over here, and we still have Montreal, Canada, the calculation method. It's very hard to see. In a moment, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to make the UI a lot better. So we're gonna do a test. So right now it's at Muslim World League. If I do search, okay, nothing changes because this is the default that it was on. But if I click the Islamic Society of North America, and if I do search, does anything happen? Let's see. I don't see any changes. Okay, yeah, Qatar, search. Let's try another city just to see. I think this is broken. Okay, I get a change because I changed the city, but if I change the calculation method, will something change? Okay, so there is an issue with our app. Now let's just go and tell ChatGPT. So it's saying that I fetched a list of create a dropdown. When questioning the API, I include the method ID, listens to the changes. Okay, now let's actually tell ChatGPT the problem that we have. So I copied your code. I see the dropdown, but when selecting the calculation method, it does not do anything. I don't see any changes between one method or the other. It's supposed to give me different prayer times data depending on the method I select. So fix that. Also fix the text and input boxes that cannot be seen properly. The text is gray and the background is white. Help fix the contrast issue. Okay, let's go over the prompt again. So I'm saying I copied your code. I see the drop down, but when selecting the calculation method, it does not do anything. I don't see any changes between one method or the other. It's supposed to give me different prayer times data depending on the method I select. So fix that. Another issue is that I'm saying also fix the text input boxes that cannot be seen properly. The text inside is gray and the background is white. Fix the contrast issue. So let's send this and see what happens with ChatGPT. Okay, let's copy this, then go back inside our code editor, paste it, save it, and then go back in our browser and see if it did anything. And so if I select another method, we see Fajr at 5:23. If I click this one, okay, cool. So I actually see the change now. If I click Muslim World League, we see that it's at 5:23. But if I click Islamic Society of North America, we see Fajr at 5:41. Cool. So everything that we have right now is working perfectly. Now, one thing that's not super obvious is this thing over here. So let's say I want to see the prayer times for Paris, for example, but I'm not sure how to write Paris. And I write Paris with 2S. And I don't know the country it is. Let's say I don't know, it's in Canada, for example. I don't know. And then I click search. It's gonna give me an error because this location does not exist. So we need to simplify the user experience over here so that the bulk of the work is not on the user. We need to make it super easy for the user to find their city. So let's go back into ChatGPT and tell it, cool, it works now, but you have to make the input field for the city a much better user experience. Right now, the user has to type the city and the country, but what if they misspell? It's funny, I'm saying misspell. I don't even know how to misspell it. But what if they misspell it? If so, they get an error. That is bad UX. So to fix that, let's have an auto-complete location finder. So if I am writing New York, for example, I can see the drop a list that gives me a auto-complete item of New York, United States. So then the user never makes a mistake. Make sure that the auto-complete API works nicely and does not lag and is shown at the right time when the user is typing. Okay, cool. So let's go over the prompt. We wrote a pretty big prompt over here. So we're telling the AI, cool, it works. And this is pretty important, at least from my personal experience, to tell that the AI what the work that they've done actually works. So then that gives like a positive feedback for the AI. So it knows that some of the things it's doing, that's the right way, and it continues on that path. But if you only give negative feedback, it has a hard time navigating where to land and what are the things that actually work for you. So you want to give both negative feedback and positive feedback. So over here, we're saying, cool, it works, but you have to make the input field for the city a much better user experience, because right now the user has to type the city and the country, but what if they misspell it? If so, they get an error, and that is bad UX. So fix that. Let's have an autocomplete location finder. So if I'm writing New York, for example, I can see a list that gives me an autocomplete item for New York, United States. So then the user never makes a mistake, and I'm saying make sure that the autocompletes API works nicely and does not lag and is shown at the right time when the user is typing. And over here, what I'm saying essentially over here is that when the user types, you don't want the user experience to be all jumpy and weird and laggy, because as you're typing, you're calling an API. You're supposed to call an API to get the autocomplete, because again, whenever you need an information for your app, your website, you can't just get that information out of nowhere. You need an API. Either you create that information, like you have it stored in a database, or you have it stored in a JSON file, or you have it stored somewhere. And if someone else has it, then you need to call their API. So over here, I'm just saying that make sure that the calling to the API works and the user experience is nice. So let's send this. Got it. You're totally right. Having the user manually is bad UX. Instead, let's have an a location autocomplete. So users just start typing and pick the right location from a dropdown. We can use GeoDB cities API, very fast, free, reliable for autocomplete. It returns structured result like New York City, New York, United States. Here's the updated page.tsx code. Go to rapid GeoDB cities, sign up, get your API key. Okay, so let's do this step. So this API over here requires us to get an API key. So some of the APIs do not require API keys, like this one, for example, the prayer times, which is public, anyone can call it from any place. But some APIs need an API key, like this one over here. And the reason why they need API keys is to prevent abuses, and it's also to track how many calls is certain specific user doing to their API. So then they can prevent, like millions of calls. They can restrict and rate limit API usage depending on the API key. So let's follow the steps that ChatGPT gave us. Go to Rapid API GeoDB cities and sign up for free. Okay, let's do this. Open link. You know what? That looks like that doesn't look like a good and documented API. It really looks like let's not go with this API, because this API is created by a developer and this is not documented so well. Dev portal, let's see. Yeah, let's not use this. Let's go back and ask ChatGPT. Great, you have the right idea, but this API looks poorly documented and not robust. Give me an API that is not like that and that does not require an API key. Let's see if ChatGPT can find an API that does not require an API key. We can still do it. We can still do this step if it provides us another API that is better than this one and it does require an API key. We can do it, but it is an extra step, and I would rather not do it in this tutorial, as it would make the complication of this project a little bit bigger. So let's send it and then let's see what it gives us. So perfect, I agree with you. Yeah, a lot of times any AI model will just agree with you blindly, but yeah, sometimes it's nice to hear it from the AI. Okay, so it's saying here's the updated page.tsx with nominatim autocomplete. I think this is the one I used for the demo, so we should be good on this one. So if I copy the code and then go back into cursor, Command A, delete everything, Command V, and then save it, I see an error over here. Yes, probably going to complain. Let's see. Okay, it's not complaining. Let's search a city, Montreal, for example. Montreal. Okay. Okay, so let's just test it with something else. New York. Are we gonna get the right data for New York? New York, United States. Yeah, it's not really giving us the right data, but let's select something. Okay, so we do get the prayer times. It's still working, but the method is just not working well. Let's try something else, like Paris, for example. Are we gonna get the drop down for Paris? I know it's very hard to see. Okay, Paris, France. At least over here I can see it. If I select Paris, France, I can see the drop down. Okay, so let's go back into ChatGPT and give all of our feedback. So first, the drop down selection UI is very hard to see. So let's say it's very hard to see the items in the drop down selection because again there is a contrast issue where the text inside is hard to read. BG is white and text is gray. Okay, second, there's an error over here, but what happened? There's an error over here, but Next.js on the website itself did not complain at all. So let's not mention the error for now. If it works, it works. Second, it seems something weird is happening because when I am typing New York, because while I am typing New York, I get the results I want while typing, but in the end I get weird results that is not New York and America and the US. It looks like the UI is jumpy or laggy, or some data are getting shown one over the other. Fix that. Okay, so let's go back over the prompt. So the first piece of feedback that I have is where I'm saying that it's very hard to see the items and the drop down selection because again there's a contrast issue where the text inside is very hard to see. Background is white and text is gray. Second, it seems something weird is happening because while I am typing New York, I get the results I want while typing, but in the end, I get weird results that is not New York and the US. It looks like the UI is jumpy or laggy, or some data are getting shown one over the other. You know, I'm just telling the UI specifically what I think is happening, what I saw. And this is what you want to do with these AI models, whether you're using ChatGPT, whether you're using Gemini or Cursor, whatever you're using, you have to be very specific on what you did, what you saw, what didn't work, and what environment. So let's send this and see what it provides us. Okay, so it looks like it found a solution for these two problems. It's saying that the jumpy results were because that every keystroke was calling an API, so it would overwrite the newer one. So the solution is to debalance. So essentially it's just a method for timing when to call an API when you have a lot of actions. So if I copy this code and then go back inside my code editor and then paste it, save it, then if I come back, okay, let's try Montreal. Okay, cool. So now I can actually see Montreal, Canada. Now let's try Paris. All the examples I tried. Paris, France. Great. Okay, now let's try New York, United States. Nice. So everything is working great, alhamdulillah. So what we can do now is to improve our app. So from this state that we have, it's a very nice looking state. Everything is working as intended. From this, what we have, we could just expand and improve the app. One thing that I had in my demo application is that it would highlight the next prayer time. So let's say right now it's 5:21 and the next prayer is Maghrib, right? So the next prayer is Maghrib. It would highlight this prayer over here. So let's go and write it. Go back into this. Let's go back into ChatGPT and actually write what we want. Cool. Everything is working. Now let's highlight the next prayer time. And also let's highlight the next prayer time and the prayer times list UI, and also have a text above the prayer times saying how much time until the next prayer. So let's go over the prompt. So we're again telling the ChatGPT that everything is working. And now let's add a new feature into our app. Let's highlight the next prayer time and the prayer times list UI. So this list over here, let's highlight the next prayer time, and also have a text above the prayer time saying how much time until the next prayer. So this would be super cool, right? So right now it's 5:23 and Maghrib is at 6:59 p.m. in New York, for example. But let's go with Montreal just to have, so we have accurate data. Montreal, Canada. I guess it's the same. Let me just see if it's working. Yeah, okay. So Montreal. Okay, so Montreal is at 6:59. So I know that the prayer is at 6:59, but it would be a lot better if I have some text over here that actually tells me, hey, there's like 2 hours until the next prayer, or 1 hour, or it visually tells me correctly and really nicely how much time I have until the next prayer. So let's go and send this command. Let's press enter. Perfect. That will make the app way more useful. Detect the current prayer time, compare it to today's prayer time, find the next appointment time, show countdown above the list. Okay, I see that it used a library over here. Hopefully I don't have to install anything, or else I'll have to tell ChatGPT that don't want to be installing anything. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. Okay, do this without using any external libraries. Okay, let's copy this and go back, save this. Hopefully this time I don't see any errors. Okay, it kind of changed the entire UI. Okay, let's try this out. Okay, so ChatGPT just decided to change my entire website. Let's go back to this prompt and just say, do this without using external library. It should be simple. Yeah, let's just edit the prompt where everything was working. So because I don't want to work with this weird code that just changed everything. Now my UI looks very, very different. So if I send this, and also it's saying that you've hit your free plan, but it's okay. Let's just continue. Hopefully we'll still have some good responses. It's saying that it's going to use another model, but I doubt it's going to make a huge difference. Hopefully, inshallah, everything will be working fine. So if we send this command, okay, let's see. So we still have the code that we have. It still looks the same thing. Okay, let's see, search by city, calculation method. Yeah, so let's copy this code. I think this code is much better than what we had. Hopefully this one will be working fine. I see this. I think this might be a mistake, but let's see. Okay, no. So let's try again. Montreal, which is my city. If I click on it, nice. Okay, so the next prayer, sunset, is at 11:30. Yeah, sunset and Maghrib is the same thing. I don't understand. Okay, let's tell ChatGPT that we only care about Fajr, sunrise, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. Actually, we can even remove sunrise, but it'd be important to know when you can't pray Fajr anymore. You know what? Let's keep it as is. We're not gonna overcomplicate anything. So what we can do, the final thing, is that we can tell ChatGPT to make this a better UI. So the final thing we can do is look at this website. It's working perfectly, and we're gonna try something risky. Although we have our code saved over here, so we could always go back. We're gonna try to ask ChatGPT to make this website really beautiful, improve the UI, and make it a really nice looking website that is designed in 2025. So I'm gonna write just that. Cool. Now make the website really beautiful with extremely good UI and UX. Do not change any functionality. Just focus on the UI and make it a modern website that is designed for 2025 by professional designer. Okay, so let's go over the prompt. Cool. Now make the website really beautiful with extremely good UI and UX. Do not change any functionality, just focus on the UI and make it a modern website that is designed for 2025 by professional designers. And this part is very, very important. Sometimes in other projects, when I tell the AI model to make the UI better or change the UI, sometimes it just goes inside and change the functionality of the app, which is not what we want. So sometimes it's very good to specifically tell it to not change any functionality and just focus on the UI. So let's press enter and see what it gives us. Okay, so I see that it listed a lot of UI design, soft gradients, backgrounds, class morphism card, and the main panel, rounded inputs and smooth shadows, animated hover effects, typography improvements, subtle spacing, and hierarchy for readability. Okay, so it suggested a lot of things, so hopefully it did not break anything. Let's see the changes. So this is the before. Let's go inside and paste this new code, and this is the after. Oh wow, okay, it's a lot better if we actually see the changes. So this is before, really plain, really as if it's like rendered in Excel or something. And this is the after, really looking nice modern cards over here with some drop shadows and all that. And as I can click the input fields, I see this nice animated border. Cool, so this is looking very, very nice. And let's see if it works also on mobile. How do I do this again? Oh yeah, inspect. Cool, and also looks perfect on mobile. So if I click this and write New York, okay, so I see an issue. Fetch cities has a problem. Let's see. Hopefully it's not because New York. Okay, so what is the problem? Okay, I guess that is just an issue on mobile, which we can solve, but let's leave it at this. We have another thing that we have to do is actually deploy this website. So if you want to fix the issue for mobile, then you just prompt AI that this is the issue that I had on mobile, fix it. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're not going to do that. We need to deploy this to the internet. So what we're going to do is first you want to go and create a GitHub account. So you want to go inside github.com and then you want to sign up. So sign up with so what you want to do first is go into github.com and sign up for an account. And over here, you just write your email, all your information, or you could continue with Google. So after you created a GitHub, you want to download the GitHub client. GitHub, download, write this on Google, and you should see this web page over here. So you want to enter, so this is what you want to enter on Google, and this is what you should see at the first link, download GitHub for desktop. You go over here and you download the application. So whether you're on Mac or Windows, it should have this giant download button. So after you downloaded it, you want to open GitHub and then you want to sign in into your account. And then this is what you should see. This is the UI that you should see. If not, then it's probably going to guide you into creating a repository or adding a local repository. In our case, we want to click this button over here and then click add, and then you want to click add existing repository. You want to click this and then choose and then find where you added, and then you want to find where you created your Prayer Times web app. In my case, it's under developer inside the Prayer Times app. So this is what you want to select, the actual folder for your project. You open it, you click add repository, and then your repository will be added to GitHub. And over here, you want to commit your file. So essentially, just to explain what GitHub is essentially just saving a version of your project. So if your computer breaks down, if you lose the code to your project, then you can always retrieve it in GitHub. And GitHub is super nice because it shows the changes between files and between versions. So every time that you commit and you change or you push some new code, you can see what changed, and you could always go back and see the different revisions. So we're going to commit this code. We can write initial work. This is what you can write in the subject description. You could leave it blank, and then commit file to main. This is what you want to click, this big button over here. And if you click this, then you should see no changes in your changes tab. But if you go into history, you could see the initial work. And this was the initial commit that was created by Next.js. Cool. So we did everything locally, but you also want to do this final step, publish repository, which will publish this repository to GitHub, to your GitHub account online. And the name and the description, it could be whatever you want. If you want to keep the code private, you could keep it private. If you want to keep it public, you can keep it public, and hopefully it can benefit someone, a Muslim, that would look at your code and hopefully get inspired and build out either the same thing or build upon your project. And in my case, I'm not going to keep it private. I'm going to keep it public. But if you want to keep it private, for you, doesn't matter. I'm going to keep it public. So if anyone could look at the code and use it for whatever project they want. So you want to click publish repository. And after you do this, then you should have your project. Let me get out of incognito because I was signed into GitHub. You should have your project in your GitHub profile. So let's look at it. My last commit, September 18th, prayer times app. Cool. And we see that this was committed or pushed 1 minute ago. Okay, so this is what we've done on the GitHub side, but it's still not done yet because we actually did not publish this to the internet. Our project does not live in a public URL. Yes, the code does live online publicly in my case, but no one can run it. People could just get the app, download the app, or just look at the code. But that is not what we want. So next, you want to go and create a Vercel account. So you know the Next.js framework that we use to create a website? Well, Vercel is the one that created that framework. So you want to go on Google and just write Vercel and click the first link and sign up. So on this page, you want to click I'm working on a personal project, write your name, Mansoor, for example, and then continue. And the cool thing over here, you can continue with GitHub. So the account that you just created on GitHub, you could use it to sign in with Vercel. But if you don't want that, you could always use different providers like Google, GitLab, Bitbucket, or even continue by email. So because I already have an account, I'm not going to sign up again. I'm going to go in Vercel. So I'm going to write vercel.com in my case. And this is where it lands me. So if you do log in, if you do sign up and you log in, this is the dashboard that you will see. This is all of your projects. So as you can see, I have a lot of projects in my case, but we don't have to worry about these for now. What you want to focus on is this button over here, which is the add new button that you want to click. If you click on it, then you click on project. And if you signed in with GitHub, then great. Everything should be linked automatically. But if not, then you could click this arrow over here and then add GitHub account. In my case, my GitHub is linked. And as you can see, I see the prayer times app. This is the exact project that we pushed inside GitHub. So the whole thing is that everything is linked nicely and the entire user experience for deploying a web app is easy and simple. So after you've done everything, you've pushed your project into GitHub and you create a Vercel account, you want to click this import button for your prayer times app, click import, and then make sure that it's the Next.js framework, which it should automatically be selected. The project name doesn't have to be changed and nothing really has to be changed. And the last thing you want to do is just click deploy. And now it's deploying your website. It's probably going to take a minute because it needs to do all of the runs and all the buildings and installing dependencies. It's actually telling you all the details over here. So if you want to look at the details, feel free to look at the details. If not, then you just have to wait a little bit. Okay, so it did give me an error. Need to disable ESLint. Okay, so I see that I have an error. It's saying that there's some ESLint issues. No problem. Let's do this. Let's run this npm run build in our folder. So inside the prayer times app folder, run this npm run build. Okay, now it's giving me all of the problems, the ESLint problems. So let's fix this. Let's send this to ChatGPT. So this is not an actual error inside the code. It's just the typing and the linting. Essentially, just the code quality did not pass production level. So that's why our code was working when testing. But when we want to deploy it to the internet, it does not work properly because we have to fix the code so it's production ready. So let's go back into ChatGPT and tell it exactly what you've done. So I ran npm run build, but I got this error, fixed the linting issues and all my project. Okay, now let's send this. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, so over here it's saying determine next per time, and this goes until, so it looks like we only have to modify one function. Where is it? Determine per time, and this goes until over here. So from this line to that line. So sometimes ChatGPT will not output the entire code for the entire page. I'll just give you the snippet that you have to change. And sometimes that's good because you don't want to waste all these precious tokens that these AI models use. So in our case, we have to copy the code that we have on ChatGPT and replace all this over here. So if we delete that and then paste it and then save it, now let's run our website again by doing npm run dev. Okay, it's ready. Now let's go back on our website and make sure that things are working. Okay, I see that things are still working. Let's try Montreal. Okay, we still get the prayer times. Everything is working. So I'm gonna end the server and run npm run build. Okay, failed to compile. Unexpected any specified different types. Okay, I got another error. Let's copy this to ChatGPT. Got another error. Okay, so now it's outputting the entire page for me. Let's wait for it to complete. Nice. Now let's copy the code and then paste it over here. Hopefully, inshallah, this now should be working. Oh yeah, my server is not running. So let's go back, run the server. So this will most likely happen to you, that your server was not running. But if you run npm run dev, then the server will run back again. Then you run your website and then let's test it out. Montreal. Okay, so my website is still working. I still get the prayer times. Alhamdulillah, everything's working. Let's close my website and do npm run build. Okay, it gave me a snippet. Let's copy this, put it inside of our type. So this is really what you have to do with ChatGPT and all of these models. It's not going to work straight out of the box. A lot of times it's going to work on development, but not on production. And then you have to fix some things in production, or sometimes it's just not going to work in development at all. So you just have to fix everything on the spot, but it's okay. This is part of the game. This is part of what we signed up for. And it is not hard work. It's just knowing where to look at and where to replace things and where to ask ChatGPT and the AI models to fix your stuff. So this is the new code. Now let's see if my app is still working. Actually, let's do npm run build and see if this passes. Okay, cool. So it looks like everything is passing now. Now, what I can do is just do a final test, npm run dev. Okay, let's make sure the app is still working. Refresh this. Okay, let's write Montreal, Canada. Great, so I still see the outputs and my build pass for production. Nice. So because you configured everything and everything is already set up, now what you have to do is very simple. GitHub sees your changes, and over here you could just write fix production issues, commit this domain, and then you push this, and this goes automatically to your GitHub account. And we could actually verify that if you go into your profile and then look at this green box over here, the latest one, you see the prayer times app, then it just said committed now, and you see 3 commits. Fix production issues is the latest commit. Okay, so now you want to go back into Vercel and let's do this thing again. So you want to go back into your dashboard, click add new project, and then click the import button for the prayer times app. And then we don't have to change anything. We just click deploy. And if you deploy that, now hopefully, inshallah, everything will work as intended and we should not have any issues. If you look at the build logs, so far everything is looking good. It's installing the dependencies. It added some package, creating an optimized production build. So this is where we had the issue. Okay, we see 2 check marks. Linting, this is the part where we had some issues. Inshallah, now we should have our website built. So we fixed the issues. Build completed and Vercel outputs, deploying outputs. Okay, great. So now we have our website live on Vercel. So now we can see that our website is fully live on the internet. So this link over here, you can actually share it to anyone. So any Muslims that come onto your website will be able to search for the prayer times for their city and then will be able to benefit from your website, inshallah. And inshallah, by the will of Allah, may Allah accept it from all of us, you will earn hasanats, inshallah, for helping them know the prayer time. So you can take this and share it to whoever you want. So let's just go into incognito, for example. Let's say someone gets your link, they enter it, and then over here, they could use your website and they could search by anywhere. So let's say there's someone in Paris, they could write Paris and then get their prayer time for their city. So this was the video. I hope you learned a thing or two. I hope you can use these new learnings to help the ummah build something to help other Muslims, help your mom, help your brother, help your dad, help someone in your life, help your brother or a sister in the ummah. This is the power of AI, and you could do so much more, so much more. If you have an app idea that you really want to build, you want to help other Muslims, then use AI to build it. I'm telling you. As your Muslim brother, use AI. It's easy to learn. It's easy to use. Then use AI to build it. You can do it. It's a new technology. It can be learned. And that app idea that you have, if you don't have the time to build it yourself, and if you can't do it, if it's too much and if it's overwhelming, I have a link in the description where you can work with me. This was the video. Jazakallah khair for being with me this long. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it for you and me. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.